Help, help, my kids are making a mess quicker than I can clean it up. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, if you have a question, go to askahousecleaner.com. There's a button right in the bottom right-hand corner. When you click on that, a little microphone appears, and you can ask your question right here to the show. Now, there's somebody today that clicked on that button, and she asked this question.
Hi, Angela. I really enjoy your videos. I just began watching the triggers video and how to clean when you're depressed, and they are helping me, but I just have additional questions. I'm a single mom of twins. They're 11, and they make pretty significant messes, and I'm trying to get them to do better about cleaning up, but it's very hard because I end up spending the 2 nights a week that they go to their dad's cleaning up because they don't clean up their rooms in time for their dad to pick them up. It's a consistent battle every week. And then I just feel so overwhelmed by having to clean up everything that they have made a mess of that I don't seem to make any progress on other things in the house that I would like to get done. I have laundry backed up. They're going through that phase right now where they're putting on an outfit in the morning for school and then changing after school and then taking a shower and putting on something else. And it's like, why are you wearing 3 outfits a day where you're quarantined? You're not leaving the house. So there's no reason to waste 3 outfits a day. So any help would be so appreciated. My name is Stephanie. Thank you.
Hi, Stephanie. I'm super glad that you asked the question. You asked me a trick question because you asked me a cleaning question about how do we get kids to clean up. And the answer is actually a parenting answer, not a cleaning answer. But stay with me because it's worth going through this together. All right, I'm the 4th oldest of 19 children, and I watched my parents be very organized with lots of structure because they were investing in us as a kid. And they knew that when they invested in us as kids, that we would grow up to be bigger versions of the kids that we were. And so as adults, we now have the skills we need because there was a lot of structure. Okay, kids crave structure. Now, when you're a parent and you're overwhelmed, the last thing you want to do is stop and create structure and then enforce it, right? There's a lot of work that's involved. And parents with adolescents are going to go, oh no, is it worth the trouble? Yes, it's worth the trouble because if you don't teach them today when they're 11 years old, you'll be teaching them this lesson when they're 33 years old and they have kids of their own and they're living with you, okay? So yes, you want to teach them these lessons right now. Okay, so having said that, I've worked for 3 decades inside homes as a house cleaner with lots of families who have lots of kids. And so there are a couple of things that I've learned over the years that might be able to help you. The first one that I want to suggest is that the family is part of a community, okay? So if you live under the roof of a house, all the people that live there and the pets, you're all part of this community. As part of a community, you get to have chores. You get to participate in the activities that go on in the community. That involves eating and having laundry, watching movies and hanging out with each other and making conversation and all of these things. But part of that is upkeeping the space that you live in. That is part of what members of the community do. And so if you teach the children now that you guys are a community, that as they grow up and they become members, remarkable members of society, they will also become contributing members of the community that they go into that is expansive of the home that you live in, okay? So it's a very, very important lesson. All right, the next thing that I want to mention is, as a parent, if you're nagging at your kid, go clean your room. That is your data, okay? That is your data that you are forcing on them. And when you force that data on them and you nag and you say, oh, here are the threats. If you don't do this, then this is going to happen. What happens is the threats and the nagging create defiance and insubordination. And so they don't want to participate as part of your community. They're like, I'll tell you, mom, right? They don't want to participate in that. So what we have to do is we have to flip the script. We have to flip it so that they want to participate. Now, if we are giving them our data, they will always argue with your data. People will always argue with your data. They will not, however, argue with their own. I know, it's a spooky concept, but check this out. Bring the kids in, say, guys, we're growing our community here in the house. We have new rules, we have new consequences, we have new behaviors, we have new activities. Bunches of stuff are happening. I want you guys to help me create something new so that we can create this environment that we're going to live in for the rest of our lives. Let them participate. What does a clean house look like? How can we help reduce each other's stress by picking up things? What do you recommend we pick up? What do you recommend we put away? Get them to tell you, and then go ahead and make a note of it. Now, if we don't pick these things up, if this stuff doesn't happen, then what are the consequences? Let them tell you. That's their data. Once they've helped create the rules and they've helped establish the consequences, it is your job as the parent to enforce them. Now, I say enforce them, that's a very strong word, but to create discipline. Now, the root word of discipline is disciple, and that means lead by following. We're going to lead the children by following the rules we ourselves have created, okay? So it's part of the bigger community concept. Now, there's a book that I want to recommend. It's a book by Dr. Kevin Leman. It's called Adolescence Isn't Terminal. And I want you to check this book out. This is a phenomenal book. It's been out for about 20 years. I don't think I've ever found a better book on raising kids than this book. And I had a chance to interview him when the book came out, and it has helped me immensely in my house cleaning and dealing with families who have issues just like this. But the disciple concept is that you get to enforce discipline, okay? So if you say, well, look, I know it's late, I'll just let it slide this one time. What's happened is you've broken down the rules of the community that your kids helped create, and now they don't respect you. And so they're not going to be obedient, and they're not going to follow the structure that you have created. And so I know it sounds like tough love, and it is, but you get to enforce those rules and disciplines and consequences for the rules that they break. And it's going to be really awkward, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and there will be sadness, okay? I'm just prepping you for a few weeks. And after a few weeks, when you hold firm, what's going to happen is all of a sudden this huge burden is going to be lifted off of you that right now looks like anxiety and stress and overwhelm. All of a sudden, you're going to start to feel like you have more control. What's weird is this. The kids are going to start to feel like they have more control. They're going to start feeling and finding the structure. And oh, before I go to dad's house, I have to hurry and clean my room. Oh, after I put on my 3 sets of clothes for the day, I have to take them off with the one-touch method and I have to put them away. And it becomes a formula that now they know what happens if they don't, because they themselves created the rules. And they know you're going to enforce them. So it's a weird change of behaviors, but I promise you this. By changing just a couple of small things, it's going to fix the question that you asked me about how do you get the kids to clean up. It's going to fix that problem, but it's also going to fix a bigger overarching problem about what happens when the kids don't respect you and they're not following rules and they're not part of a community. Okay? So this is an amazing concept that's going to help you so much. And I'm super excited to hear your progress. So please leave your comments in the notes below. I want you to keep me posted. I really want to hear how this works out for you. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.